We are live. You know what the crazy part about starting it like 15 minutes late? You would think that I'm some like this big shot that allows his biggest fans to wait the like 10, 15 extra minutes. And I have no right doing that to people. If I say 9:30, I mean 9:30. I'm a man of my word, except for tonight. My coffee wasn't boiling the correct way. So blame the machine. Don't blame me. What is going on, everybody? Back at another live here. So watching the Yankees down 4-0, only mustering up 3 hits. I want to talk about the Knicks. I want to talk about where the Mets are heading. A little money in the bank conversation. And yes, Ryan, finish the story, Leon. He has to finish the story. I'm going to get into that. Going to get into my thoughts on the Mets beating the Dodgers tonight. And yeah, you have to, you know what you got to do? You make them wait. You make them wait because they yearn for the content more when they wait, which is with the people that watch these lives every day. So, Pat, what's going on? Big supporter of the channel. Got a lot of things coming up next month we're very excited about. Got to get a list together. Got to do a lot of things. There is another supporter, FM. Thank you. Hopefully you're not driving and watching this at the same time. I know it's your infatuation of cars that you like to do. You like to do a lot of things while you're driving. Yeah, we're going to talk Cowboys. Definitely going to talk Cowboys. If there's a way I could get people in the link here, I have to figure that out. So you guys could join me if you'd like to be on camera. I know some people are very shy. I know the camera adds 10 pounds, which is the reason that you're seeing me is a little bit fluffed up. It's because of the camera work. It has nothing to do with what I ate tonight and all the pasta that I did consume tonight. T, what's going on, man? Big Yankee fan, big Cowboys fan. Unfortunately, we differ with both of those teams. If you guys don't mind, I know I waited 10 minutes, but I have to just take a sip of this. It's very hot. It's very hot. Just real quickly, I put out a video about Leon Rose. We'll start with the Knicks. I'm very busy as well. Patriots, yeah. Hopefully they got their quarterback. I think they'll be okay. I just want to jump into the Knicks first with Leon Rose. What occurred over the last 24 to 48 hours involving Knicks fans turning on one another, depending on whether you're on the Tom Thibodeau side of things or not. I mean, guys, it's all irrelevant because, you know, what Leon Rose had to do was show the fans that he's willing to go all in on the roster that he put together. There was a point where sometimes voices just expire. Sometimes you need a new voice. Sometimes you need the foresight. And I credit Leon Rose for actually having the foresight and having the guts to make a move like this and not react like a lot of teams do. They wait for things to go really bad and then they make the move. No, what Leon Rose did here, and which I'm really excited about, is the fact that he had the foresight to make this move and say, I think I know a guy, which he has to have in mind. I would hopefully assume that he has a guy in his mind that he wants to hire, whether it's Johnny Bryant, whether it's Jay Wright, whether it's any one of these guys that are being discussed. I know a couple of these guys are long shots, but Leon Rose has a guy in mind that he believes is going to take this particular roster over the top and winning a championship. That's the bottom line. So in Leon Rose, we trust. That's what I'm going to continue to say, because for the last 5 years, he's built nothing but a winner. So if you're a team like the Knicks, who've been awful for 20 years before Leon Rose, that's irrelevant. That has nothing to do with the current era now. So just train of thought there. Pudgy, I'm a huge angel hair guy. If you're talking pasta, I am a huge angel hair guy. I feel like angel hair is better for the bigger guy because you could eat more of it and feel less guilty. So what I like to do with the angel hair, I'm not the traditional Italian. I'm only half Italian. So I don't do the whole fork on the spoon thing. It probably is a zoning issue if you're thinking about it that way. I'm gonna get reamed for this, but is that Bucatini? I don't want to. If I mispronounce that and certain people see that, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for not getting that word correct, which is really embarrassing. Hopefully, it's. Oh, thank God. All right, good. I got that right. Yeah. As you could tell, probably I've eaten a lot of pasta in my life. It's one of my go-to meals. I made the poor man's pasta over the last couple days. You know, a little butter, a little grated cheese, a little garlic. It does the job very well. I pronounced it right, so I could come home the correct way. I was told I pronounced it correctly. But with I mean, do you guys think that Tom Thibodeau should have been fired? I know a lot of your guys' opinions already, but if you think Thibodeau should have been brought back another season, I understand the argument of wanting to keep the build going on and the progressions going on, and how each year that they've progressed, each year they've also been they've also lost as the favorite with home court advantage in 3 out of the last 4 seasons. They lost to the Hawks, they lost to Miami 2 years ago, and they lost to Indiana last year. They lost to Indiana this year, all as the favorite to beat those teams. What does being the favorite mean at the end of the day? I understand it's just the Vegas odds, but Vegas for the most time is more right than they are wrong. And what they predicted was the Knicks going to beat all 4 of those teams, and they lost to all 4 of those teams. I know a lot of people like to point out the last 20 to 25 years of non-success with the Knicks, right? From 2000 to 2020, that has nothing to do with Leon Rose and what he's built over this team for the last 5 seasons. Honestly, if you give one of the coaches like a Derek Fisher or who else who coached the Knicks? Mike Woodson, who had a pretty good tenure. If you give Derek Fisher, if you give Hornacek, if you give Fizdale the current roster that the Knicks have now, they're gonna win 45 games. It's just the NBA is a talent-driven league, and if you have 1 or 2 great players like the Knicks have, they're gonna wake up out of their sleep and they're gonna coach a team to 40 plus wins minimum with the talent on the roster. The roster that those guys were given over the last X amount of years were brutal. Brutal. Now, when Leon Rose hired Tom Thibodeau with this vision in mind of rebuilding everything and getting everything correct and, you know, putting this team on the right path to hopeful greatness over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, this is what he envisioned. Did he envision Tom Thibodeau being the guy to finish the job? I would assume so when he first hired him. The extension last year was a little bit questionable. I understand that, but a lot of reports are sort of coming out. Nothing definitive. A lot of reports are sort of coming out that maybe that was a little favor done by Leon Rose to Tom Thibodeau. His former agent I'm still assuming they're close friends, but the former agent that Leon Rose was to Tom Thibodeau, maybe as a little friendly gesture, he gives him an extra $30 million. James Dolan will write the check. He doesn't care. And James Dolan, for the most part, as much as a lot of people hate him, as much as he's had a bad reputation over the last, 20, 25, 30 years, he's kind of stayed out of the way since Leon Rose took over this team. He stayed out of the way. And as long as he's cutting the checks for Leon Rose and giving him full autonomy to make any move he wants to make, that's all that matters. That's all you want your owner to do at the end of the day. You don't want him to get involved like he used to get involved with Isaiah, like he used to get involved with the Carmelo Anthony trade with Donnie Walsh. That's the last thing you want him to do, and he's done a really good job of that. So the Leon Rose debate, whether people think Dolan had anything to do with it, I just don't think that that's an issue anymore. I think Dolan has full trust in Leon Rose. Leon Rose doesn't need the job. So, and I agree, Pat, 100%. Like, Dolan's not the issue because you don't hear from him. Dolan was only an issue when you used to hear from him. That's it. So the next question that you pose to that the fan base is posing to who's the next guy. Everybody's going to have their favorite. I have my favorites. You guys have your favorites. Everybody out in the world will have their favorites. People are going to complain about Tom Thibodeau all offseason, and they're going to complain if the Knicks get off to like a 1-2 start. They're going to complain about him then too. So I have my favorites. I have Johnny Bryant as my number one guy that I would love to bring in, an innovative mind. I think this is a guy that could – the Knicks are a team – it sounds so corny, but the Knicks are a team that could be running a 5-out innovative offense which moves the ball. Tom Thibodeau's offense is very ball dominant by the guard to drive to the paint, kick out for the open three, not much pick and roll because, you know, you want a guy like Derrick Rose, you got a guy like Jalen Brunson. These are the guys that thrive in Tom Thibodeau's system. So what he did was phenomenal with Brunson. You can't ever forget that. What you want now is a guy that doesn't just focus like it's 1987 anymore. You want a guy, which I'm watching a lot of Johnny Bryant film. I'm watching him break down offense. I'm watching him break down defense, and I love everything that I'm hearing with this guy about how he uses the center, how he uses the forward, how he has the point. You're not going to play Brunson constantly on the ball. Give Brunson a break. You need a guy who's going to have better rotations. You need a guy who's going to play his bench more. I know that was a huge thing with Tom Thibodeau. Yeah, good. If Dolan's just busy playing his guitar, that's all we want. That's the only time we want to hear from him. And the occasional basketball that he gives out after a playoff game to one of the young kids out in front of Madison Square Garden. But a lot of the big problems with Thibodeau was the bench. So, again, like I said a couple days ago, one of the biggest things I'm excited about moving forward, if they bring this team back as is with a couple of bench pieces, I'm mostly excited about who they're going to be using on the bench, what the rotations are going to be. Big question marks when Tom Thibodeau was the coach, playing guys 38, 39 minutes, running Josh Hart into the ground, running Anunoby into the ground with injury history. How many times I screamed at my TV like an idiot to take a guy like OG Anunoby out of a game against the Wizards in middle of November when the Knicks were up 17 with 2.5 minutes to go. Granted, they blew a huge lead against Indiana, but not everybody's Indiana. Tom Thibodeau is one of the few coaches now who still coach the regular season as if it's the postseason. The regular season in the NBA has lost so much juice, and there's a reason why Adam Silver is trying to bring the play-in tournament. There's a reason Adam Silver is trying to mix and match the division winners and what they could get and the lottery and all this other crap that they're trying to do to juice up the regular season. So, you know, winning 50 games as well, it is an accomplishment. I understand that, especially for a team was averaging 22 wins over the last 20 years. It's some stupid number like that. But so, you know, winning 50 games is something that this current roster should wake up in the middle of April and have. Just with the talent alone, they should be winning 45 games minimum. Add a little good coaching in there, that gets you to 50. Add some great coaching, that's when you get to 55, 58, possibly even 60. So that's where I think the Knicks need that young, innovative, offensive guy who's going to maximize the talent on this current roster. One of my favorite guys, yes, is Johnny Bryant, former Knicks associate head coach. They did everything in their power to try and keep him here 2 years ago, and he decided to leave for a lateral position over with Kenny Atkinson in Cleveland. Again, Kenny Atkinson's a guy that I look at as a good head coach, but Kenny Atkinson's also a guy develops younger players a lot better, but doesn't get it done in the postseason. So that's another thing that Cleveland's probably going to be looking at soon. Rick Pitino, Rick Pitino was on WFAN this morning with Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata, and he took his name out of the head coaching search for the Knicks. He told himself he's not coaching 100+ games. I mean, maybe if you throw $100 million at him, you never know. But obviously Patino would be one of those guys. If he became interested in the job, he would probably go right to the top of the list, along with a couple other guys that they would probably have in mind. But again, you need that young, innovative guy. I see that I saw that Mike Malone, those kind of rumors are kind of being shot down. People seem to think he's just like a 20 years younger version of Tom Thibodeau, but he's also a world champion. He's got it done. Yes, he had Joker, which helps tremendously, but you still got to get that team over the hump, and you still got to win the championship. So it says a lot. I know Taylor Jenkins is a name that's being floated around a lot, and that rumor is starting to get a little more heavy. Taylor Jenkins is the former head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, who was fired, I think, with 10 or 12 games left in the regular season because he was clashing with the general manager, clashing with players on what his rotations were. But he's another guy. And another big thing is you got to look at former clients of Leon Rose. Taylor Jenkins fits the mold. Johnny Bryant fits the mold. So those are the kind of guys that Leon Rose and, Worldwide West have been focused on bringing into the New York Knicks. Another thing now, passing the coach baton over, what are you doing with this roster? So that's another question that has to be brought upon is, what are you doing with the roster? There's so much Karl-Anthony Towns slander going on now, and I think it's very unfair. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the most elite offensive players we've seen at that position, at that size in the last how many years. Doesn't mean he's a perfect player. The perfect player doesn't exist. But Karl-Anthony Towns is not a guy that I don't think fit the Tom Thibodeau mold. And I think that was probably a clash during the offseason when Leon Rose and Worldwide West clearly for a couple of years wanted Karl-Anthony Towns on the Knicks. And Tom Thibodeau and Towns just don't fit. Tom Thibodeau wants to play defense. Towns doesn't know what the hell's going on the defensive side of the ball. So get a guy in here that can help and get a guy in here that can maximize Karl-Anthony Towns and get a more consistent Karl-Anthony Towns. And it's tough to even say a more consistent Karl-Anthony Towns because he was a starter on the All-Star team this year. He had an outstanding year. He had a typical Towns year, 24.5 points, 10 to 12 rebounds a game. So what do you do with Towns if the Milwaukee Bucks call you and they say, give me Towns, give me Anunoby, give me McBride, give me one of your few first-round picks that you have in 2028, one of those picks. If you're the Knicks, I don't think you hesitate, but not every play. I'm just not giving up Karl-Anthony Towns for nothing. And that contract is not very tradable unless you're matching it with another fat contract like a Giannis or like a Kevin Durant. And I've seen that come over the screens a lot too. Kevin Durant has flirted and has played coy with the New York Knicks now going on 7 to 8 years. Originally was supposed to come here, according to a lot of experts, like Stephen A. Smith guaranteed it, that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were coming here and a couple of years ago, and the Knicks were going to finish with the number 1 pick, and it was going to be Irving, Durant, Zion Williamson. Knicks fans were extremely excited about that. Obviously, that never happened. So Durant has flirted constantly on social media, during interviews. Is this the year that Durant finally makes his way to the Knicks? I know he had a lot of nice things to say about the Knicks during their postseason run and during this whole season. Maybe now's the time you could pull something off like that. It's not just going to be a Durant for Cat trade straight up, right? It would have to be possibly Cat. And the reason that Phoenix would be intrigued by something like that, obviously, is Durant's 37. Cat will be 30. So you have the age there. Phoenix's GM constantly comes out and said he's not blowing the team up. He believes in what that team has built, but Durant is pretty expandable. So if you're going to trade somebody, you're not trading Booker. The Bradley Beal contract is untradeable. That was an awful trade from the start. So if you're going to trade anybody and try to get some assets, why not call the Knicks and ask for Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker's former running mate with Karl Anthony Towns at Kentucky. So that's a relationship that they would probably like to rekindle and see if they could do it in the NBA. The match the match fits for Phoenix obviously more than it does the Knicks. So if you're getting Durant, it would have to be Durant and maybe something else with maybe that would have to take some sort of 3-team deal. Yeah, I don't think 100%. I don't think Durant's happy either. Durant kind of runs his course. Every 3 years on a team. I don't know. I'm kind of split on the Durant. Like, I've wanted Durant on the Knicks for so long. And if you're just looking at his numbers over the last couple seasons, everybody will say he's 36, he's 37. He played 62 games last year, I think 75 the year before that. He shot 43% from three last year and over 50% from the field. So he's not slowing down anytime soon. And this is a guy also, he's definitely old. 37 is not ideal, especially if you're giving away a 30-year-old center. But he's a guy who still averages 27 points a game, shoots 43% from three. And, maybe in a Tom Thibodeau offense, Durant's not a fit. But if you get a guy in here where he can kind of maximize the talent, get the guys like Durant and Brunson and Anunoby all to work in unison, maybe it works. Not saying I'm against it, but it's not the first move. Not saying I'm against it, but it's not the first move I would make if I'm being fair. I just don't want to give away Towns for anything. Durant would not be my first choice. But if you get a little 3-team package, it wouldn't. Maybe the Knicks get a shooter along with that. I don't know. They need a lot. This coffee's really good. It's just the right temperature. Now it's just the right temperature. I didn't have to wait for it to cool down. It's $1 million idea. When you look at other roster moves, besides the Freak and besides Durant, I'm not sure there's another guy that I would break up this core for. And I don't even know if there's another guy available when it comes to trade. I don't think a guy like Jokic will be available. I'm just trying to think of some of the guys that might want out. I don't know what the Celtics' plans are with Jaylen Brown. Tatum's going to basically miss the entire season. So what are the Celtics planning on doing? Are they just going to run it back? The Knicks have to be the thing with the Knicks, they have to be very, just the right temperature. They have to be very strategic in how they work the cap space that they don't have right now. And I say don't because they're not in a good position cap-wise. The only reason the Knicks are in a good position in terms of having a mid-level exception and a few spots open for others, like little bench players, is because of the pay cut that Jalen Brunson took last offseason, leaving $113 million on the table. That helped tremendously. Without that extension and him taking that pay cut, the Knicks won't have that mid-level exception. What does that mid-level exception get you? That's another key. I would be looking at, personally, the Knicks need shooters. You were playing the hypothetical game that the Knicks rerun this core and rerun who they got. The Knicks need shooters, and they need them badly. My first order of business would be hiring the head coach and then getting into Mitchell Robinson's face and telling him, you need to get into the best shape of your career because I'm starting Robinson at the 5. I want Towns to play the 4. I want Anunoby to play the 3, Bridges to play the 2, Brunson to play the 1. I want Hart off the bench. I need Deuce off the bench as well. I need a complete, and I know Deuce is a decent 3-point shooter. I need a sniper off the bench, a guy that's going to come in and a guy that could get you 6 points, bang, just like that, just like Boston has. And it's a great system they have. And it's tough to find these guys. because year to year, it's tough to see some of these guys will shoot 39% one year. They'll go down to 34, 33%. So, 1,000%. If this team could ever get Dante DiVincenzo back, I would be off the moon. It would be the most exciting thing ever. Excuse me. But the Knicks definitely need that sniper off the bench. That's exactly what DiVincenzo was last year. He struggled to start the season with the Knicks because he was coming off the bench. And then once they inserted him into that starting role, built nothing but confidence and kept putting up those threes. And he wiped the highest 3-point. He broke the Knicks single season record for 3-point shots made and attempted. So he's a guy that I think would welcome back. I don't know what his relationship with Thibs was. I don't know how he'll feel about that, but getting back with the guys from Villanova, that can't be it's got to be something that he would love to do. He makes AT&T commercials about it. So who knows if he wants to come back. I would welcome it back though, 1,000%. There's other trades I would make. I would try to explore. I would call Memphis. Jaren Jackson and Luke Kennard would be two guys I would love on this team. Whether that takes a Mitchell Robinson type trade, whether that takes Bridges and Robinson together. Kennard's a sniping shooter off the bench. Shot over 45% from three over the back-to-back seasons from Duke, my favorite college team. So I do have a little bias, but he is a 3-point specialist. This guy will come off the bench and just light it up. Not going to create his own shot, but you need a guy that could just hit the three at a productive, quick rate like that. That's what the Knicks were lacking off the bench, right? And Shamet played really well. And Shamet played well, 39% from three for his career, I think, which is pretty good. And, again, going back to who they're bringing in, you're not worried about the starters at this point because you're going to add to your bench if you keep Josh Hart coming off the bench and Deuce. You have Hukporti, you got Kolek, you got Pacome Dadier, and maybe they could bring back Precious Achiuwa off the bench. He's a fan favorite that plays pretty well. He played pretty well in the third game of the series against the Pacers, and then he got thrown to the bench again. So that's where a lot of the frustration came. I'm extremely excited about the rookies. They're going to be year 2 rookies because Thibodeau just never played them. I'm excited about new rotations from the coach. I'm excited about the offensive innovation, getting these guys in the spots that they're supposed to be. My first target of free agency, and you talk about old, you think Durant's old, wait till you hear this name. My first target in free agency would 110% be Chris Paul. I want Chris Paul on the Knicks. I've wanted Chris Paul on the Knicks for 5 years. He'll be 40 years old. He is still a productive point guard. And you're not bringing him in to be Chris Paul from 2010. You're bringing him in as a guy off the bench. When things are getting too hectic, a guy like Chris Paul brings the entire team back down. When things are too low, Chris Paul will bring the team back to the position that they're supposed to be in. He'll make sure guys are in their right spots. You're bringing him off the bench. He's playing 18 to 20 minutes a game. You're not asking for Chris Paul to defend. You're not asking for Chris Paul, even though he still gets steals at a very high rate. You're not asking him to do what he did 15 years ago. You're just asking him to pretty much give you that 20-minute backup point guard role for Brunson. And also with a guy like Paul, you could run him with Brunson, keep Brunson off the ball, save some of that energy. There's something I hated with Thibodeau was he made the adjustment in game 3 or 4. No, I'm sorry, game 5 in the Indiana series of keeping Brunson off the ball, having Bridges bring up the ball. This is something where you could run Chris Paul and Brunson together. Brunson plays really well off the ball when he doesn't have to bring it up, doesn't have to use all that energy to get past those full court presses. Ball gets up past the half court line with like 14 seconds to go. Knicks run their offense. Brunson dribbles for 8 seconds, either shoots it or he hands it off to somebody else who will have 4 or 5 seconds to make a play. That offense is so outdated That offense does not win a championship anymore. You need ball movement. If you look at the play, Chris Paul, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's going to be 40 years old next year, but he's still the right temp. He's still very, very productive, and we're not looking for him to be the savior here, like we were in 2010 when the rumor was him, LeBron, and forgot the other guy, Wade maybe, or somebody else where the rumor was that they were coming to the Knicks in 2009, 2010, but obviously that never happened. They made the announcement at Carmelo Anthony's wedding or something like that. They were going to be New York Knicks, and then that just never came to fruition. But and also what you're getting with Chris Paul is you're getting a coach, and you're getting a coach on the court, you're getting a coach on the bench. You're getting a guy with that veteran presence and that winning presence that this team really, really needs. But yeah, that's the Knicks. This is going to be the offseason that either puts them over the top, brings them back to the same position. Maybe they have to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. There's no excuse. You can't fire the coach and then take a step back. Yeah, I don't care if it's a first-year head coach. Doesn't matter if it's a veteran coach. You can't fire the head coach who did take you 2 wins away from the NBA Finals, although I wanted him gone. You can't fire the head coach this close to a title without getting the next guy to replace him and progressing further in the playoffs. The Pacers, as good of a team as they are, the Knicks should have beat them. And shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Cry me a river. Game 1, complete cluster, and right after that, they couldn't recover. So we move forward now. We have to move forward because if we look back, we're going to wonder what the hell happened, and then we're going to get very depressed about it. But other than that, that's pretty much the Knicks side of things. Until they hire a coach, we're pretty much in limbo right now. I would think that they're going to have a coach hired by the end of by Monday. By Monday, Tuesday, they'll have a coach, is what I would think. I think they have guys in mind. And what the Knicks do, which I'm a huge fan of in the Leon Rose era, the Knicks move very, very quietly. They do not let you know what they're doing. And if it's not coming from guys like Ian Begley, who is the best Knicks beat reporter out there right now, don't buy into any rumor. Don't buy into any tweet. Don't buy into any prediction that people are trying to tell you that they know what's going on. Because if it's not coming from Ian Begley, just like Jeff Passons in baseball, Adam Schefter in football, if it's not coming from Ian Begley, do not know. Do not believe what they're telling you. So that's the Knicks side of things. Other than that, until they hire a coach, we're pretty much in limbo. As Pat and my son to watch it. Yeah. What's going on with that? Like, just shifting gears to Dallas. I know Pat does not like Dak Prescott. I'm a fan of Dak Prescott. He kicks my team's ass every year, right? So, and I'm still a fan of his. The Pickens trade, I'm a huge fan of George Pickens as a talent. I think he's one of the top 5 talent-wise receivers in football. If he could just stick his head on his shoulders and shut up half the time, he would be that guy. During that draft, he was my number 2 wide receiver in the entire draft. He fell to the 3rd round strictly because of those personality traits. And if he puts his head on his shoulders and just keeps it moving forward, maybe he does now. Maybe he does now because he's going to want a contract. So will Dallas pay him the contract is another thing, but that's nothing to worry about till the offseason. Oh yeah, that's true. Every quarterback has kicked my team's ass over the last 10 years, but I'm extremely excited that Daniel Jones is off my team. I think that is a positive moving forward. I think that is one of the greatest black clouds lifted over this franchise for the longest time. To having the last 6 years of having Daniel Jones in training camp and being my starter, you guys don't know how good you've had it. with these Dallas Cowboys. I know that they haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 plus years. I get it. But you guys don't know how good you have it. And when Prescott leaves, you're going to feel it. And I hope you all sign Daniel Jones. I hope you sign Daniel Jones. I hope he's your quarterback. So you could suffer from what I suffered through for 6 years, for 5 years. That 1 year that he made the playoffs was a fun year. Obviously set us back a little bit, but that black cloud is away from my franchise now, and I don't have to worry about it. But it's like when I start talking about the Cowboys, my throat starts to hurt and my nose is all congested because they're just they kill me. Micah Parsons is still not signed yet, but he's come out and said that he's going to report to training camp, which I think is very admirable by him. Who do we like? No, I like Dable, but I was a big Brian Dable supporter going when he was with Buffalo, and I loved Brian Dable's. He's got that. He just needs the quarterback. He needs the quarterback, and he's shown with good quarterback play, he can have a winning team. He was coach of the year. He gave Daniel Jones the best year of his career in terms of not turning the ball over. He made sure that Daniel Jones didn't put the ball in harm's way except for one game that season. That's how you only throw 15 touchdowns in today's NFL, is when the coach tells the quarterback to not put the ball in harm's way. So Jones lost a lot. Jones lost a lot on the deep ball after the neck injury. The offensive line, I grant you that the offensive line was never great, but I've seen great quarterbacks elevate average offensive lines or bad offensive lines to average, and he just doesn't do it. He's a one-read quarterback. He proved to be a one-read quarterback in the NFL, and it killed him for so many years. And the amount of underthrows and overthrows, and even last year with Malik Neighbors against that play against Dallas in Week 4 was just a microcosm of what Daniel Jones's career was turning into, or what it had turned into. When Malik Neighbors put a move on the corner, I forgot who the corner was, and he's running wide open downfield. You need a quarterback that could put that ball. Dak Prescott would have made the throw. You need a quarterback that could put that throw over the top, so the receiver doesn't have to stop his route or come back for the football. Jones underthrows the football by 15 yards to where Malik Neighbors has to come back 10 yards and make the throw. That's just one example, and he can never hit the deep ball well. If he didn't get that first read, he was dead. There's been plays, there's been film broken down of Jones not being able to get to his second and third read, and when he has time to get to his second and third read, he just tucks it away and runs with it. Doesn't take the necessary chances that you have to take as a quarterback in this league by fitting it in the ball. Doesn't have a strong arm. These are things that were said coming out of college, and I kind of blindly ignored it because you just as a fan, you just have high hopes for the guys that you draft. And he just doesn't have a strong arm. He's going to be he's in a good spot with the Colts. That's an offense that'll do well for him. He'll probably beat out Anthony Richardson. I'm not a big Anthony Richardson guy, but he'll probably beat him out in that quarterback battle. And then, we'll see what happens. Maybe Jones revitalizes his career, signs with Dallas next year, and the Giants beat him up. But Dallas is going to win their average of what they win, right? 9 games minimum, usually 8 games. The Schottenheimer coaching hire was something that I don't know. I don't know if that was Jerry Jones' decision or a Stephen Jones' decision. It doesn't sound like a Jerry Jones decision to me with hiring Schottenheimer, because I think Schottenheimer is a pretty good coordinator. But I mean, they had a good coordinator in Dan Quinn that they allowed to leave. But McCarthy win 12 games back-to-back years, 3 years in a row, and they fired him. So talk about Tom Thibodeau. That's a pretty good comparison. Like the Tom Thibodeau, they win 12 games 3 years in a row, and the guy gets canned, or so, or 3 out of 4 years, and he gets canned. So 8 and 9 could be. I actually predicted the Giants. I think the Giants are going to win 6 games, so it'll be double their win total from from last year. But the Dable and Shane's job are going to hinge on the development of Jackson Dart. Obviously, Steven, it's because the Knicks did good. That's why they let him go. Yeah, it could be the reason. That's why you're taking off work all week, which sucks. I'm stuck with somebody in the car. He won't leave. It's all going to hinge on Jackson Dart and his development. If the Giants win 6 or 7 games, 7 would be crazy. If the Giants win 6 games, but they see progression and they see the like that highlight reel type play or plays, see that he's progressing well, they see that he's learning the offense quickly. They're going to bring Dable and Shane back because Jackson Dart was Dable's pick. I think that the Cam Ward thing was tough because the Giants won that game against the Colts last year, which means they wouldn't get the number 1 pick. In hindsight, maybe it works out for them. I was very upset at winning that game because I wanted the number 1 pick. But in hindsight, if you get Abdul Carter, which is the number 1 player in the class, and you get a guy like Jackson Dart, who hopefully develops into your future quarterback, and people like me got mad for absolutely no reason. That's the Vegas has the Giants at total 3. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing what this franchise has become. 3.5 wins is such a joke, and it's just so sickening. And I know the schedule is hard, but the schedule is based off of last year's win totals. Everything changed in the NFL. Things change real fast. So could a team that's on the Giants schedule that a lot of people think are going to be good maybe underachieve next year? Yeah, of course. Could the Giants overachieve? Yeah, there's probably more of a chance of the other team underachieving than the Giants overachieving. I think the Giants talent-wise, it's going to sound so homerish, but I think the Giants talent-wise do have a very, very talented defense. It's on Shane Bowen to make it's on Shane Bowen to make these guys perform at the highest level. We talk about coaching the entire time. If they don't perform at the highest level, you got to look at a guy like Shane Bowen. You can't have Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence and not put pressure on the quarterback every single week. There is no excuse for that. So if that doesn't happen, he would be the first guy I'd be looking at getting rid of. And it's a short hook for guys like that. You added so much talent to the secondary. You had an excellent draft last year. And hopefully this year, I do agree. I think they had a really good draft, 100%. A lot of the guys that I was asking for, they somehow got. I don't know how that happened. But Cam Scatterbo in the 4th round was just, I didn't even think that was possible. You look at a guy like the first pick that they had. I mean, for them to get Carter at 3, it kind of just fell into their lap. Any one of us could have made that pick. That wasn't really the hardest pick to make. I wonder if they did hear me. I think that they heard me. I think the Knicks heard me too when it came to the Tom Thibodeau firing. I might have been screaming too loud. Made my wife a little nervous. Giant schedule is impossible for on paper 1,000%. If you look at the schedule, it might even be impossible for 3. With the division alone, they haven't beaten Dallas, they don't beat Philly, and they used to beat Washington, but now Washington is a really good team. My only hope for Washington is that maybe they take a regression. In Daniels' rookie year, getting to the conference finals it's a pretty big barrier to set now, and if you don't make it back there, it's technically a regression. So, sort of like the Texans with C.J. Stroud. Stroud had a really bad year last year, and 2 years ago his rookie year was outstanding. So it is possible that they could regress, but for me to be asking about teams regressing, I need to just worry about my own team getting better. I'm hoping and I'm praying that there was. I mean, every expert last year had the Denver Broncos with one of the worst rosters in football, and they were questioning if they would win 3 or 4 games, but they wound up getting into the playoffs with Bo Nix at quarterback. So I'm not saying that's going to happen with the Giants. I'm just saying I know things on paper might seem the way they are now, but a lot changes in the NFL, and it changes really quickly. If I had to bet it, I'd probably take the under, though, at 3.5. It sounds so crazy. If it's 3.5, I would be really tempted to take the under. I mean, for a team to win 4 games, is that the lowest out of all the teams in football? Are the Giants the lowest over under bet in terms of total wins? I would assume that they would be. Maybe Tennessee is down there as well, but they probably 3.5 is sick. Maybe Tennessee's down there with us, or the Saints maybe, because they just lost Derek Carr to retirement. Maybe the Saints are one of the worser teams than the Giants. Yeah, so I would see it. It could be New Orleans battling it out with the Giants, for a top 5 pick next year. If I had to make a bet, I would probably put the Giants back in the top 5. I do like the last 2 off seasons with the Giants. I can't, without just sounding like a home fan, I just really like what they did. I like the veteran. I like the 1-year Russell Wilson presence that he brings to the team. He's bringing a lot of good vibes to training camp. He's been there with the rookies. He's been there since the start of all this. I really, really love what they did with this defense. They added a cover corner in Paulson Adebo that I really like. Javon Holland is one of the best safeties in football. I know they let one of them go already with McKinney, but that's old news now. But Javon Holland's a great safety. Tyler Nubin was playing great last year as a rookie. Drew Phillips was the number one rated corner in football last year as a 3rd-round rookie out of Kentucky. Outstanding draft pick from Leon Rose. Outstanding draft pick from Joe Shane. And, you tried to build this offensive line. It's all predicated, again, on Andrew Thomas staying healthy. When Andrew Thomas is healthy and he's the anchor for the entire line. And they're going to need him to stay healthy because they don't have a backup tackle as good as him. And when healthy, Thomas is one of the top 2-3 left tackles in all of football. It's just a matter of obviously staying healthy. Evan Neal is going to try to revitalize his career at guard. Hopefully that works, like at the Eric Flowers type of situation where you realize he wasn't a tackle. He's more of a guard. Mekhi Becton thrived as a guard last year in Philly. Got himself a big contract with the Chargers. I would like to bring in another weapon like a Gabe Davis, a veteran guy that Joe Shane and Brian Dable are familiar with going into next year. That veteran presence. Malik Neighbors, I think, is ascending as one of the top receivers in all of football. This is a guy who had 1,200 yards with Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, and me throwing him the football last year. So I have real high hopes for Malik Neighbors with a guy like Russell Wilson, who's one of the best deep throwers in football statistically still. Now you have Jalen Hyatt, who a lot of Giants fans have pretty much given up on. You have Jalen Hyatt. What's his specialty? Hyatt's specialty is taking the top off the defense. There's been instances where I watch this film and I watch Hyatt running downfield, and then Daniel Jones would just never pull the trigger and throw him the football. You need a guy that can get Jalen Hyatt the football, and I think you got that with Russell Wilson. So yeah, I just want to beat Dallas once. It's been too long. All the wins are starting to stack head to head with Dallas that in favor of the Cowboys. I really just want to beat Dallas. It's been so long. I think the entire division is a little further away from Philly. Maybe they'll have a Super Bowl hangover and everybody else will regress, which would be great for the rest of the division. But I don't see anybody dethroning Philly for the division title. Philly's most likely the favorites going back to the Super Bowl. I don't know what the Chiefs situation is going to be coming into next year. Kelsey's last year was the first year that Kelsey started to look really old. Yeah, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry all season. That's all I've been doing over the last decade with this team, except for 2 years. Giants are winning the Super Bowl. I don't care what you guys say. The New York Giants are winning the division. No, I can't even say it with a straight face. I will be pleasantly surprised by the New York Giants this year. I don't think they're going to be as bad as we all think. I think they'll be competitive. I think the veteran coaching, the veteran quarterback will help this team be competitive this year. And Dable will maximize this talent. Dart will be in there at some point this year, I would assume, unless the Giants start like 8-0. So football, basketball. How do the Yankees do? Did they lose again? I love when the Yankees lose. They were losing 4-0 when I started this. I think Judge was the only one that showed up tonight with a couple of hits. But the Mets, Yankees will be fine. They're running away with that division. Orioles took a step back. Red Sox seem to be in purgatory right now. They don't know what the hell they're doing. The Blue Jays just want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on everybody, but nobody wants to come there. And the Rays are just the Rays at this point. The Yankees are going to run away with that division, I would think. I don't see that being competitive at any point because a couple of those teams just won't be able to keep up. Depending on what the Red Sox do, whether they're going to buy or sell at the deadline, I would assume right now they'd be sellers. But the Red Sox are tricky. The Blue Jays are tricky. They're two teams that never want to give up. But there's a big series coming up now with the Yankees and Sox. The Yankees have a chance to bury the Red Sox a little bit now. If you could take 2 or 3 from them, even sweep them, which would be best case scenario, and you could widen that gap a little more with the Red Sox in the American League East, that would be outstanding for the Yankees. Chisholm coming back, huge day, huge home run last night. Outstanding pitching. Carlos Rodon is just starting to really live up to that contract now, finally. I want to see Rodon do it in the big spot in the postseason, but for now, killing it right now. I think it's the beard. It's got to be the beard rule. The Weaver injury sucks. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, but if you're going to have this type of injury for the closer or for a player, you have it now instead of in September. So you're going to have this injury over the summer. It sucks. It sucks that the closer's off the team, but take the injury now. Don't rush him back. Even when he comes back, you'll still have a month and a half, 2 months to get him right for the playoffs. So you're going to have that type of injury. Have it now. Judge is still Judge, which is crazy to me. Yankees will add at the deadline. They'll be fine. They're going to run away with that division. The Mets have a big. Mets got 2 big games coming up with the Dodgers. I know regular season is the regular season, but I need the Mets to win 1 out of these next 2 games so they could win the season series with the Dodgers. That would clinch the season series. That would clinch the tiebreaker. The tiebreakers are very important. Mets made the playoffs last year on a tiebreaker. So if that's the case going into the postseason, if they want that bye or if they want the big seed, they'll have the tiebreaker with the Dodgers. So that's something that I'd love the Mets to do, win 1 of these next 2 games. Last night was very frustrating with Nimmo misplaying that ball in left field. Diaz not being available back-to-back nights. I know they're running it out there slow with Diaz, but I'd like to see him stretched out a little bit, be able to pitch back-to-back nights against a team like the Dodgers. Soto starting to look like he's coming around. A lot of extra base hits in his last 5 or 6 games. So that's nice to see. Finally, even though it's June already, it's finally nice to see that he's waking up a little bit. I think he'll be fine too. You brought him here for that summer run. You brought him here for the postseason. That's where he really makes his money. You got Lindor, an MVP candidate already. Should be an all-star. Alonso's still playing great. Team could use another hitter at the deadline. The pitching, I think, is going to catch up at some point. The Mets are going to have to find people that could go a little deeper into games. And we look back when people were screaming at the Mets to sign Corbin Burns and Blake Snell and all these other guys. I'm glad they didn't, because Burns, prior to the injury to the elbow a couple of days ago, he's been awful. Snell was awful before he was hurt. So you know, I'm never Stearns is not a big believer in handing guys contracts over 30 years old long term from the pitching aspect. But they're gonna have to get. I mean, Manaea is coming back. Montez is coming back. Montez is getting lit up in Brooklyn, so he's. I know that the numbers aren't that important when you're in the minors. It's about fine tuning your craft, using pitches to kind of get your feel back, strengthening up the arm. So you know, you get a lot of guys get lit up in the minors. A lot of veteran guys get lit up in the minors before they come up. He'll get lit up when he comes up. So I don't know why I'm trying to talk myself out of that. But they'll get Manaea back. He's a guy that went deep into games last year. The bullpen's been outstanding. I just don't want to overuse them before the All-Star break because post All-Star break, it could all change. Guys could get tired. Guys can just lose everything. Yeah, Montas does suck. I agree. But the only hope I do have with Montas is that this pitching lab with the Mets kind of gets him back to a couple of the good years that he did have. That's my only hope. And, you know, Severino's having a really, really bad season too. I wanted him back. And you look how that's working out. But I'm hoping the only thing with Montas is that David Stearns and these guys seen something in the offseason with him where they said, we could get him right. We can make him a serviceable pitcher. And he's not here. He's not here to be the ace, which is great. He's only here to be the fourth or fifth starter. Actually, probably the third starter at this point. But, you know, I'm hoping that's my hope. But, you know, you hope in one hand and you do the other thing in the other hand, which usually the other thing comes first. No, it's Mike. My name's not Einstein. But yeah, I think the Mets will be fine. Yankees will be fine. All-Star break. They're gonna make some trades. They're gonna add to the team. And that's it. Money in the Bank. Quick prediction for Money in the Bank. Unfortunately, I think it'll be Seth Rollins that wins the briefcase. I wanted it to be CM Punk to set up the CM Punk and John Cena feud at SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium. I don't know if that's going to happen now. I think it'll be Seth Rollins, and he'll just run around with that briefcase for like 7 or 8 months and probably cash in on Jey Uso at SummerSlam or one of these big events. So it's a quick little wrestling tidbit. Mariah May debuted, which I'm very excited about. She's going to dominate NXT. She's going to take over that women's division in NXT. She's somebody who could be called up right now and be one of the biggest stars. AEW did not do a good job of retaining her, and I'm very happy about that. So I will end it there. We're just under an hour. I didn't think I could talk this long about nonsense, but I somehow did it. Thank you guys for everybody who joined, everybody who interacted. I appreciate every one of you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys tomorrow, probably in person. And then some of you in person and some of you through Instagram, some of you through other avenues. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you guys another time.